Happy days and welcome, boom, to this week's Extreme Business Set Mind series with myself and, of course, the amazing, the world multiverse think tank from Ireland, and it has to be Mr. Lee Tannyway. And this week, boom, do I have a subject this week? Now, Lee, you touched on this many months ago, and I've been letting it bubble in the background because before I deliver it in, I have a philosophy to this, and it has come from many of the meetings that we've had. I've been on the ECI with you and the Brexit and all these things. And here's my thing is, I do one client a year that I do like a pay-as-you-go. And they say, no, I'm paying, buy now, pay later. So what I mean is I work with one client a year that I know is going to stretch me, push me, annoy me, frustrate me more so than any other client I work with. And I work with them basically for free. Why? Because I then have to prove the invoice at the end of the term for them to pay. And why? Because you said once in the call, well, Paul, if you can deliver to the complainers, you can deliver to anybody. What's your strategy? And I pulled a strategy. That's what I do. And that's what I do. I work with the most difficult one that I'm going to grow from the most for free, and they pay me at the end, which means I have to get their business in a place where they can pay me. By the way, it's double the invoice. So let's think about this, because so many people, because there is a double edge to this, because you say, oh, don't work with people that don't resonate with you. I get that. But also don't avoid people who you can grow from. So let's go in there. If you can deliver to the complainers, you can deliver to anybody. What's your philosophy?
Yeah, it's a good one. It depends how many layers you want to go with this, see? Because it sort of overlays on the one we done last week with being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Is, I suppose, if you want to make a change, if you look at reality, whether reality in your family, reality in your business, reality in your community, reality in your country, yeah, you're going to have one conversation at a time. By having one conversation at a time, you're looking to change somebody's mind, somebody's emotional intelligence level, yeah, where they sort of get past the judgment or the expectation or the shame or the blame game. Because all the time you're in those loops, yeah, all the time you've got a name or something to blame.
Mm-hmm. Wow, yeah.
You have got your barrier to entry. And to put that in a visual and to put it in a clear language, yeah, beyond consciousness, yeah, is this. I don't know if you've ever seen Tower Bridge. Tower Bridge has got these two things that go up like that,
mm-hmm.
let ships through. And when it's up like that, nobody can get from one side of the Thames to the other. So when you're speaking to people whose barriers are up, yeah, or bridges are up, yeah, you've got to get the bridge down. And you might be able to put yours down. Yeah, that might be your self-development, your self-awareness, your communication, your vision, your mission. But then they go, but. No. We can't do that because you'll hear the buts and the becauses, the two B words, yeah? And those two B words are very frustrating. And the two B words only put in two little things, a little apostrophe and a little T. Yeah, because, yeah. C-A-N apostrophe T. We can't do that. Now, I can't do that. That's fine. Because that's the individual. As soon as they put we can't do that, or they go one step further, yeah, they say you can't do that. They go from a we, as in a couple, to a they, which means, and you listen, I don't care where you go today, you'll hear it. But because, can't, we, or they. Mm-hmm. They're the circumference of language people inject into communication. Yeah, or they won't put up with that.
Yeah.
They won't accept that. And I think they won't accept that. And hear the language, what it is. When somebody says to you, I think they won't accept that.
Mm-hmm.
You've got somebody who's on Tower Bridge and they've got their part up. And they're telling you what they think. And if you take what an individual thinks and put it into a we or a they, you're an idiot, you're a fool, because you're listening to somebody whose barriers up and they're telling you that how the future will remain the same. And they're telling you, go on.
So do you think those individuals are people that you can work with?
Oh yeah. Well, see, it depends on where you're. See, that's why I said it depends on how many layers you go. One-on-one, quite easy. Depending if you're working with a client, But I mean, if you take that into the business world, keep it in the coaching world, the consultancy world, or the mentoring world, you've just got to deal with one individual.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you're having trouble dealing with that one individual, what area do you need to grow to get your bridge down?
There.
Yeah?
Wow.
Because it's you that's got to grow to be able to now. But what we look for is manipulation, persuasion, influence to get them to put their bridge down. No, because now you're in a parent role or you're in a boss role. You've got to get that individual to have the nuggets. They might, and at times, see, where does the stress come from? We want the bridge down today. It don't work that way. Some people need time to process it, but if you communicate, whether it's in a coaching world, I'm quite straight in the coaching world.
Yeah.
And some of the people I've worked with, whether it's in the business, I mean, you got the business problems or the human development, but then you've got the consequences of the strains on those people. Sometimes I work with people that's been addicted, to Class A drugs.
Okay.
Because they're medicating themselves
Mm-hmm.
to be able to deal with what they've got. They've got so many people under the team, they're snorting cocaine to be able to stretch, like burn the candle like an extra 4 or 5 hours. And sometimes I get to deal with people who've been doing that 5-10 years. Yeah. Wow. And you're not just dealing with the business problems and their communication and some might call their mindset or their emotional autonomy. You're dealing with how they've medicated themselves. And now they've got to unlearn the habits, the processes of communication, because they know they're on burnout. They know they're hitting a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and some of their team, their family don't even know that stuff's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many different levels of what's happening with the humans. So when we come back to that bridge being down, some people's bridges are only up a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Some people's bridges are right up. Some people haven't got the road to the bridge. So you've got to work out, and the way I look at it this way, I'm not saying I'm right, but it works for me, yeah, is you've got to be able to see beyond the facade, beyond the mask, beyond the communication defense frameworks, beyond the defense, the denial, yeah, and the excuses, and the because, and the past. And they'll tell you their past is as true as anything. It ain't, it's just memories now with emotional echoes that are dramatising.
Wow.
And if you're present, the past don't count. All you want from the past is the wisdom. As soon as their negative wisdom comes, the apostrophe and the T, yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that. I won't be able to do that. Yeah. Or then they go into, yeah, I won't do that because I'm worried about what people think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, they ain't living a life. So it depends what problem you've got within it. Now, when it's just a business problem and they want to go from this to this, they've got to realise, whoever it is, whatever they want to do next, you ain't going to do it with the same history driving the future. You have to make something change in the present, and you have to say, it's a bit like playing a record. Some people habitually think and feel and imagine and communicate the same record over and over again. Now, I don't know what radio station that they're listening to in their own minds and that, but I swear in the real world, you go on the radio station as a DJ and you go, right, hi everybody, I'm going to say the same thing to you every day and play you the same song every day, and in between the gaps, when the song ends, I'm going to talk about the weather like I did yesterday, and I'm going to introduce you to the same song I just played you and the same song I played yesterday. How many people tune in? So sooner or later, we've got to wake up and realise we've got to change the record. And if you stay present, you're always changing the record.
Yeah.
You can't stay in deflection, denial, avoidance, or security if you want something different. But then you go, well, I don't know how to do it. No, because you've always played the same records. So now, what do you need to read? Who do you need to talk to? What do you need to watch to make it a change? If you're ever going to use history as in past, yours or someone else's, go back into your past and see when you were happy, when you were passionate, when you were driven, as in motivated, when you were clear and you had a vision, whether it's a small one or a big one, and they're the memories you utilise. Yeah, or if you can't find them in your life, you go and look for them in an iconic place. JFK, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, people like that. Take the essence, not the language. The language is nothing. That just communicates. But if you listen to somebody like Gandhi or JFK or Martin Luther King, yeah, you'll hear language that takes away drama from the future and put bridges down.
Yeah.
Now, depending on which one you look, some can be defensive. But if you look at a good film to see it is Coach Carter. Samuel L. Jackson, the film Coach Carter. You'll see how everybody pushes back. The community pushes back to the change that's necessary.
Yeah.
And when you see the change, it's not so much people say you can't do that. I'll tell you what they're actually assessing. They're assessing you, your character. They're assessing the people around you, the community. They've assessed everybody and they perceive that they can't do better. And because that's the problem. It's not, do we need to change? Yes, I think everybody agreed. Something's got to change, but we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then they look to somebody, whether that be in politics or whether that be in the company, and they don't know what to do because it needs a certain style of human to be able to step into the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not worry about what people think, feel, or imagine. Oh, they're very conscious of people's feelings. But I'm not on about you just walk in and that's how it's going to be. It's a little like that, it has to be a bit like that, but you cannot allow the emotional autonomy, the denial, the deflection, the lack of responsibility, the lack of accountability, or they've got this little level of energy they play at, and all the time they do that, they fit into their little curve. You shouldn't fit in. If you're fitting in somebody else's boundaries, comfort zones, autonomy. You can't fit in. You should always be honest and real all the time, responsible and respectful, and you should always protect their future. So whether you're working on an individual or a group, I work mostly in groups and I work mostly in communities. So I'm always dealing with a lot of problems all at the same time. I don't give them the time of day. And even if I get the really clever ones that believe this, and they quote science and they quote this, that's brilliant, perfect. I'm not denying the problem. But is it the problem you want to focus on or the solution to that problem? Where's the solution? Well, there enough. Can you give me 3 times the detail on the solution as you can on the problem? Because that's the bit I need.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
I don't think that's possible. That's what they say. I don't think that's possible. Who do you know that would think it was possible?
Yeah. Because
if you're with people that won't think it, I won't think that way. I can't see it that way. I don't believe that way. That's right. Then we know your thoughts, the way you see things and the way you believe is controlling reality. And because you're in a leadership role or you're in an authoritative role, that your authority now is capping the people that want to change.
Wow.
Because you've got to look at it. Personal development is you. Personal development, if you really look at it, it's personal. It's nothing to do with skills.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with communication. Personally, where that bridge it can't come up because somebody else says you can't. Or I don't think you'll be able to do that. They're telling you the avatar they have installed of you. They're also telling you their authority in how much the bridge lifts. And if they're a dominant force in your life, whether that's a manager, husband, wife, we're all playing within the parameters of each other's comfort zones and emotional intelligence. My advice is don't. As soon you first of all become aware and intelligent of where they are. But you can't use where they are as an excuse or a reason to define your reality. Your reality is in your skin in.
Wow.
So you have to see hear and listen where they are, and whether that's a client, that's where they are. So am I right in assessing, you said this and you can't do it, you can't push it, it's just to check in. So your perspective is this, and this, and because of that, this change won't happen or this growth won't happen. And they go, yeah, that's right. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
How's that going to serve your family? Throw 5 years on it, 10 years on it. How's it going to serve your relationships? How's it going to serve your workforce? Well, it ain't. That's the problem. Oh, brilliant. So something has to change. Well, I don't know what needs to change. I know you don't know what needs to change, but would you have the awareness level that you have the awareness that you don't know what needs to change, which means that's the bit we need to work on.
I love that. And let me, because I love that you've unfolded or dissected the layers to that, which is so beautiful. But let's put a top layer on in the sense of, let's come from, I don't know, the mentor coaching point of view also, which when I say point of view, viewpoint, let's say, which is So I have a philosophy. I only work with people I'm going to learn from. That's been the last for 4 or 5 years. But within that philosophy, I'm going to say, coming back to my opening, which was I always work with one person that I know is going to push me. And basically, that person is going to teach me what I don't know about me because they're going to help me open up. They'll not know that. They'll not know that, by the way, but I know that person is going to push me in a way that, you know, yourself, Lee Tunney, where you always push the buttons that I don't know I have yet. And which opens that up in me. And so I make sure I have one of those clients. What's your thought, first of all, on always working with people that you're going to learn from, but also having that one or two individual in your customer base that are teaching you, even though you are mentoring them?
Well, I suppose, and you can hear this because this bit might sound like ego. I normally, I've gone, my opinion would be I'm past that level because now I work with people, where they get frustrated and I go, what are you getting frustrated for? Don't you see what's happening? Yeah, well, what would you do? Well, I do this. They're not saying what would I do. I'm saying to them, what would you do? Well, what was your default? I'm going to do this. Brilliant. And how do you think that's going to affect the group?
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to get the outcome? Yeah, but you do this, you do that, you do that. Yeah, there's a certain thing I've got that people know I mean what I say. I ain't mean with what I say. And I also know people are going to, have their little chats and kick their little feet and throw the toys out of the pram. Not in my viewpoint. I already know they're going to do that. And I already know that once they've got that fluster out of them, they're going to go, right, yeah, I see it. Yeah. Well, I don't want to step out of it yet. I'm going to do this. And they find that compromise. Well, they don't realise that's a level of growth. So I haven't had to be involved in. I've just threw the little pebble in to make a few ripples. And as soon as the water just settles again, then I drop another little pebble in. And he's off again. He can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do that. Who does he think he is? And that's the level I play at now.
Yeah.
Very few would come and tell me. I'll get the messages that go, it's not me that just thinks that way. Well, that's right. Recognise that that's the way you think. I don't think that way. So I'm sort of in a different, I just don't engage in conversations that anchor people in like that mind, that group think, herd mentality. You've got to change the herd as well as the individual. So nowadays I've become more aware of how leaders are affected.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why I say, if you put it in levels, there's no levels. It's just, I don't know, you have to get through this thought or that feeling, or that way of looking at it to get to the next bit. Have I had the moments where, and as you know, Paul, like, as you can look, see, I've still got me hair, but how I don't know. There's been times where I felt like I've had a basketball in my stomach, my head's pounding because I don't know how to get the bridge down. Yeah. And you think, well, press this button. That's what happened before. It came down. What you do? And you got and you just feel like screaming. I'm lucky that I never took the drugs. So I think I've had enough pressure in my own life. I should have took the drugs and alcoholism. But so what's my process? When I get to that place where, and because I've got a very dominant energy, when I get to that place, if I don't control that energy, I am like a destroyer, like a bulldozer for comfort zones for other people. The bridge is coming down.
Yeah.
You can get over your pity party or whatever. And that's the way I used to be. Nowadays, I step back. And I either go to people that are in my community and I'll say like Kira, whatever, Alan, you're dealing with that thing. Yeah. And I'll break it up. I'll delegate it down to small chunks. While they're dealing with the small chunks to move it to the next level, I'm working on how can I say something, because my style, how can I say something where I'm just going to knock the top off to make the bridge come down.
Wow.
So my process is always reflection, don't say a word. Reflection, don't say a word. And reflect because you'll learn so much about you. And then don't make any assumptions about them. And then if I was going to say this in the most harmonious and perfect way, Yeah. What feelings do you want today? That's it. What feelings do you want today?
Wow.
And then just ask yourself one question. Why aren't you having them?
Lee Tennyware. I love that wrap up in the end. That was absolutely typical Tennyware style. It was amazing. Lee, thank you so much for this fantastic deep dive Extreme Business Set Mind series with Lee and myself, Paul Rees, in the background. Until this time next week, boom! Bye for
Boom.
now.
See you soon, buddy. Have a brilliant day.
Bye, Lee. Thank you so much.